At 9 years old, Nanaya buried her mother. At 16, she became a mother to her sisters. At 25, they sold her baby. Now let me tell you a story. Nanaya's story began long before she understood the meaning of pain. Her mother, Amora, was an orphan raised by her aunt, Madam Buba. From childhood, Amora knew cruelty more than kindness. Madam Buba sent her out daily to hawk fruit under the scorching sun. Many nights, Amora slept hungry. Some nights, she slept outside as punishment for mistakes she didn't commit. School became her only escape, the one place where she could breathe. When Amora won a scholarship to university, it felt like salvation. It was there she met David. He was gentle, well-spoken, and from a wealthy family. Their love grew quietly, hidden from the world. One evening, Amora sat across from him, hands trembling. "David," she whispered, "I'm pregnant." David went silent. Fear clouded his face. "My parents can't know," he finally said. "Not now. Please, give me time." Amora had no one else. She agreed. She gave birth to Nanaya, and later to twins, Chidra and Sandra. David supported them secretly, but he never told his parents. Then one day, he announced he was going abroad to complete his studies. "When I return," he promised, holding Amora's hands, "I'll take you and the children home." He left. He never returned. Communication faded. Money stopped coming. Amora dropped out of university, forfeiting her scholarship. She worked endlessly, walking long distances in rain and sun, determined her children would never suffer the way she had. But life was cruel. A terrible illness struck her down, and death came swiftly. Nanaya was 9 years old when her mother died. Standing beside her mother's body, holding her 5-year-old sisters, Nanaya knew without being told that her childhood had ended. With no one else to turn to, they were forced back to Madam Buba's house. Elle welcomed them. Madam Buba hated them deeply. She hated their mother even in death. Every morning, Nanaya and her sisters were sent out to hawk fruits. On days there were no goods, they attended overcrowded public schools where learning barely existed. Any small mistake meant starvation or sleeping outside. One evening, Madam Buba couldn't find her money. She accused Sandra, grabbing her by the arm. "You thief," she shouted, beating her mercilessly. Sandra screamed and cried. Chidra knelt, begging. "Please, auntie, please." Just then, Nanaya returned and rushed into the house. She froze at the sight of her sisters being dragged and beaten. Rage filled her small body. She pushed Madam Buba away. "Leave them," Nanaya shouted. "Beat me instead." Madam Buba screamed for neighbors, accusing the children of trying to kill her just like they killed their mother. That night, Nanaya held her sisters tightly and promised them a better life, even though she had no idea how to give it. At 16, Nanaya had saved a small amount of money from begging strangers for extra change while hawking. With the help of a friend, Neka, she ran away with her sisters to another city. They rented a tiny room barely fit for living. Nanaya worked morning and night, cleaning houses, serving food, washing clothes. She starved so her sisters could eat. She endured insults, harassment, and exhaustion. She became their mother. When her sisters entered secondary school, things changed. They admired flashy classmates, expensive phones, easy money. Nanaya warned them, reminded them of where they came from, but her words slowly lost weight. Then Chidra collapsed one evening. At the hospital, Nanaya learned the truth. Chidra was pregnant. Nanaya went to Samuel's house, the boy responsible. His parents laughed at her, insulted her, and threw them out. Samuel denied everything. That night, Nanaya cried alone, but she did not abandon her sister. Years passed. Nanaya worked harder. Her beauty faded under stress. Her hands grew rough. Her heart grew tired. Chidra became bitter and angry. Sandra became rebellious. Nanaya noticed the signs too late. Sandra fell into the hands of a Yahoo boy who promised love and wealth. One night, she overheard strange conversations about rituals. Fear gripped her. She escaped through a bathroom window and ran barefoot through the streets until she reached home. She collapsed at Nanaya's feet, crying and begging for forgiveness. Nanaya held her, shaking, but something inside Nanaya quietly broke. She began to choose herself. She stopped shielding her sisters from every consequence. Bills were shared. Responsibilities divided. The house fell into chaos. The baby became malnourished. Nanaya refused to intervene. For the first time in her life, she chose herself over sacrifice. Then came the betrayal. Chidra met Cynthia, who introduced her to Mrs. Joy, a woman who claimed she couldn't give birth. Money was discussed. A deal was made. Nanaya found out too late. One evening, she returned home. The baby was gone. Nanaya screamed until her voice broke. She searched the streets, the houses, the markets. When she confronted Chidra, Chidra said coldly that she had done what she had to do. Nanaya slapped her for the first time in her life and collapsed in tears. That same night, the police stopped a woman carrying a baby at an odd hour. The baby looked weak, malnourished. The woman, Mrs. Joy, was arrested. Her phone revealed messages linking her to an illegal adoption ring. Cynthia had already fled with the money. Investigations followed. DNA tests were ordered. The baby's biological mother was identified as Chidra. Then came the shock. The father's DNA matched a man with overseas travel records and business ties. David. Alive. Wealthy. Back in the country. David was summoned. His wife, Mrs. Joy, collapsed at the police station when she realized the truth. David tried to speak when he saw Nanaya, but she stopped him. "My mother is dead," she said calmly. The truth spilled out. David admitted his cowardice. He offered money, houses, anything to erase the past. Nanaya refused everything. The baby was returned, not to Chidra, but to Nanaya. Social services declared her the only stable guardian. Chidra begged. David pleaded. Nanaya listened quietly. Then she made a decision no one expected. She placed the baby up for a legal, carefully vetted adoption overseas. Not for money. Not out of anger. But to break the cycle of pain. "I was raised by suffering," she said softly. "I won't raise another child inside it." Chidra screamed. David protested. Nanaya walked away. With the compensation money, Nanaya returned to school. She built a business. She supported women like herself. Sandra stayed behind, changed, and healed. Years later, Nanaya stood on a stage, confident and calm, speaking to a room full of women. She smiled, not because life had been kind, but because she had survived. And for the first time, she was free.